Thank you so much for coming for this interview. We are very privileged and highly honored, and it's great to be here, especially in your own country. We understand that your mother became a minister and your father was quite high up in the Constitutional Council. So you grew up in a political family, like from young.
Yes, my parents were first involved in education, and my mother was a director of one primary school. My father twice, he was Secretary of State in the Ministry of Education, so still education. On 1958, Prince Sihanouk at that time was head of the state.
Right.
He allowed finally women to be candidate. And immediately my father pushed my mother to be the candidate. And she refused. And she said, no, I'm happy. I didn't want to become member of parliament. But my father pushed her so much, encouraged her, asked her sister, her old sister to push her, her young brother, push us, both of us, you know.
Push as well.
Yes, and when my mother asked us if we want to see her candidate, we didn't understand much about politics, you know. My sister was only 11 years old, I was 16. And we said, yeah, we want you to become,
right,
because we heard our father.
Right,
so
right.
finally she became candidate, the only one.
Did she have any opponents during the election?
Yes, 6, 7 candidates,
oh, okay.
all male.
Right.
My mother had a constituency not far from here, Kandal, about 20 kilometers from the capital, from Phnom Penh. And I used to go with her to see how she made her campaign, political campaign speech. Yeah, so I look at her, very interested. And 7 other candidates, all male, very rich. My mother, my parents were not rich, so I remember she said, I don't have money to give you. I only have idea and promise, and I try to do all my best to keep my promise to you. But other invite the chief of the village for dinner, for lunch, gave a lot of gift, you know, etc. But my mother didn't do that. But as there were more than women in whole Cambodia, at that time already 52% of adults that could vote were women. So my mother, and in Kandal, there were few factories.
Right.
And my mother knew pretty well that most of the workers were women.
Right.
So she addressed herself to women and she said, I know that your salary, you did the same work as men and you didn't have the same salary. So I promise you that if you vote for me, I will do all my best to get the same salary.
Wow.
And then another thing that she promised also for maternity leave.
Sure.
Most of you have children, and if the owner of the factory cut your salary, it's not at all good. So I promise that if I'm elected, you will have the full salary during the 3 months of maternity leave. And for these 2 reasons, she was elected. And she was appointed as Minister of Social Action, and she put her promise into consideration, into force.
What made you want to be a doctor? Because you became the first woman to become a fully qualified medical doctor in Cambodia.
That when I was in Pre Vang, I was 7 years old. We just finished the war, Second World War. It was 45. And in Pre Vang, the hospital, we didn't have a doctor, only nurse. And my father was absent for about a month. And during his absence, I was sick. I had malaria. I was so sick, could not eat, you know. And the nurse, there was one nurse, he didn't make the diagnosis. He only gave me a lot of antibiotic. It didn't work, you see. So and lost a lot of weight, of course, lost all the hair. I was very skinny and waiting to die. And 7 years old is very hard for a girl like that. And then I pray, I made a promise. I said, if Devara help me to recover, I will study medicine and spend all my life to help others, especially children, poor women, etc., who have no possibility to get a good medical care. This is the promise that I did to myself. And when my father came back, when he saw me, he was so sad. He said, "Oh my God, she's going to die." And he said, "Oh, it looked like the 3 phases of malaria." Maybe he looked at the book, or he heard people told him like that. He said, "Okay, I have nothing to lose." He didn't trust at all the nurse who gave me a lot of antibiotic, penicillin, you know, it didn't work. Yeah. So he went to the market and he bought quinine.
Quinine, yeah.
Yeah, quinine. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to give you." And I still remember that he was shaking like that because he didn't know how to do. He looked at the book, where to inject, you know, here, not to touch the nerve, etc. And he made the first injection to me.
Wow.
Oh, I felt so well, you know, after one first injection. Right. The second one, I remember that I asked my mother to give me some food. Third, he did only 10. Normally, it's not so, you have to do more, you know. But with 10...
You recovered.
Yes, and start eating, etc. So from that day, I told my father, "You saved my life the second time. You gave me the life, and now you gave me a second time. And I will become medical doctor." From 7 years old, and every year I said, "Okay, I'm going to study very hard and become medical doctor."
Because your parents were both pretty high up in society in a sense, right? Do you remember getting to know Prince Sihanouk himself or his family quite well? I mean, there must have been occasions when you must have met the prince, right?
Yeah. My mother, yes, she was very familiar for the palace. On 58, 59, when she was member of parliament, Queen Kosama would like to find a good professor, very serious one, that can take care of her all grandchildren. They went to school, to the public school, but when they come home, they have to make their homework, study the lesson, etc., etc. So she found my mother. And so my mother went to the palace every day to pick up the prince, princess, include the king, King Sihanouk.
Right.
When I met King Sihanouk the first time, he was only 5 years old.
Right.
So I hold him. He was very cute,
very
cute with his young brother.
Right.
And she brought them to school. My mother brought them to our house, and then she put them in one small table, one by one, and forced them to make their homework.
Right.
So she was very familiar to the palace, and as she was a minister of social action, and later on minister a second time of health.
Right.
So she knew, she met Prince Sihanouk several times, my father also, because at the end, my father was also one time Minister of Information, and for 3 years before the Prince Sihanouk was deposed, before 70, he was appointed as High Secretary General of the High Council of Throne.
Right.
So his office was inside the palace.
Right.
So both of them were very familiar with the palace, with Prince Sihanouk. For me, I met him sometime, but I didn't work with him. When on 1971, when I left Cambodia, because also my father was very sick.
Right.
My father had an ulcer of the stomach before I was born.
Right.
And when we know that when you have a big stress, it can be very bad.
It works out, yeah.
Yes, and he had hemorrhage. And that can be dangerous for his life. So when the coup arrived, and then Prince Sihanouk was deposed, and we had civil war, my father was very worried, and then he started having problem again. And I said, okay, we have to bring you to Paris again. You cannot stay in that environment. So I decided to go. And London decided that he didn't want the official, Cambodian official, to join Prince Sihanouk in Beijing. And when London sent an official letter to all the Cambodian embassy in the world, including in France, saying that the civil servant, high ranking of civil servant, should come back to Cambodia immediately. If you don't do that, you are considered as a traitor of the nation. Yes. My father sent a medical certificate to Phnom Penh, saying that here, I'm sick, so I need few more months to treat myself. He didn't acknowledge that. And we were declared traitor. I said, my young sister, my parent, my young sister, and myself, 4 of us, family of Pung, I didn't do anything. My young sister, she was still a student, We didn't do anything, concerning politics, etc. And my parents, even them, they went to France with only a small bag like that. Right. So we were considered as a traitor of the nation. And if we came back, we will be executed. We could not come back. And after 1 year, on 1972, my father said, okay, if they consider me as a traitor, I will join Prince Sihanouk. He moved to Beijing, and I stay in Paris, continue to study medicine and work in Paris. And on 73, I follow my future husband in Vancouver. You see. So this is, and at the beginning, I didn't want to do anything concerning, the peace, etc. But when I was, they consider me as a traitor, it hurt me a lot. Sure. On 75, when the Vietnamese, 75, the Khmer Rouge occupied the Cambodia, and then tried to kill almost all, and then I didn't have any news from my relative. So from that time, I started becoming involved in politics. You see, I remember I was in Vancouver. There was a Council General of China, so I always met him and asked him questions about what's going on in Cambodia. Did he hear something? I don't know why I want to go and visit my parents in Beijing, you see. Beginning of 75, January, I didn't know that Phnom Penh will surrender on April. The day that I took the airplane from from Seattle, it was 17th of April. Right. It's coincidence. I didn't know on January that the 17th Phnom Penh will surrender to Khmer Rouge. I took, when my late husband accompanied me to Seattle to take the airplane, we saw a big title in the newspaper, Phnom Penh surrender. Wow. So I was scared. I said, oh, if I arrive in Beijing only at the end of April, like my trip, maybe my parents and Prince Sihanouk went to Cambodia already. For me, if Phnom Penh surrender, Prince Sihanouk will go back. Right. So when I arrived in Hong Kong, I called my parents in Beijing. And he said to me, don't worry. Keep your itinerary, don't change anything. Right. It was not immediate. So when I went to Beijing, when I arrived, about 30 Cambodians coming from France wait with Prince Sihanouk to go back to Cambodia. Right. And in my mind, I said, if he go back immediately, I will go also for 1 month. Can you imagine the rest? Yeah. So fortunately for me and for my parents, for my children, and for me, and for a lot of Cambodians that stay with Prince Sihanouk at that time, nobody come to invite Prince Sihanouk to go to Cambodia.
Let me short circuit now and come to the most critical role that you played in bringing the two parties together, because you brokered that peace, right? That meeting. At that point, Hun Sen had already become like the boss when you were brokering the peace? Because many attempts were made to bring the king and the Hun Sen together at some point, but all were failures, right?
Yes. When I was in Angola, in Vancouver, I met a man, Mitterrand. He was at that time head of Socialist Party. My late husband knew him very well, but not me. I had the pleasure to meet Madame Mitterrand and the wife of some socialist leader. So we had a good contact, and I took this opportunity to ask Mitterrand for help, Cambodia. I said, look at, it was 77, 78, something like that, you see. I said, look at, it's very bad in Cambodia. We have no new, we don't know what the Khmer Rouge did to, I lost a lot of my relatives. And Mitterrand promised me, saying that 1981, it will be a new election for President of the Republic of France. And he said, if he, Mitterrand, has the chance to be elected, he promised me in front of his wife, of all his colleagues, that he will do anything to get peace for Cambodia.
Right.
I said, and if Khmer Rouge continue to control the country, what are you doing? He said, if the Khmer Rouge allow me, I will visit them in Cambodia. Wow, because we know that Khmer Rouge will not do something to the president of French Republic. No, you know. Oh, thank you very much, etc. And I continue to pray for him since that time, you know. And in 82, when we moved to, and 81, he was elected.
Elected president, yeah.
And he appointed my husband as ambassador to Angola. When we arrived in Angola in 1992, we know that Angola and Cambodia at that time had the same political regime. Right. You see? And I know that one day someone from Phnom Penh will go and visit them, and it happened. Right. 82, few months after our arrival, led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs at that time, with some colleague that's still here, like, so it's Mr. Prime Minister at that time, Minister of Foreign Affairs Hun Sen, with 2 or 3 others, went to visit Angola in an official visit. Right. And as I had a very good relation with the Angolese foreign minister, Mr. Paulo George, who used to speak fluently French, because my Portuguese was not so good at that time. Right. And he invited me to meet Hun Sen. And I invite him to the residence without asking permission from my late husband. I decided, when I met him, I said, do you want peace for Cambodia? Because why you fight against each other? And he said, yes, we want peace. I said, okay, we try to put you with Prince Sihanouk, because my parents were very close with Prince Sihanouk. So why we don't do that? And then you can get peace for Cambodia. He said, I'm not against that idea. So I invite him with all the delegation to our residence. And after, when he left Angola, I left Angola on 86, come back to Paris. My father said, Prince Sihanouk will come to Paris on September 87. Right. So you should go to see him at the airport and ask him for a meeting. I met him, he was surprised to see me, and when I explained, he said, okay, 24, 2 days after, he invited us to meet him in Féantard-de-Noir, about 120 kilometers from Paris. So we met him for 6 hours, and he decided to see Hun Sen. Yeah. It was not easy
No.
because French didn't recognize yet, but thanks to Mitterrand, we had some privilege. Normally, the French should not invite the delegation from Phnom Penh because they don't recognize the regime yet. But Prince Sihanouk helped us to get the visa.
Right.
And the first meeting happened on the 2nd December 1987.
Right.
And the organizer was only 4 of us, my parents, my late husband and myself. No one helped us.
Right.
For the Cambodian delegation, we could not even get the car for them.
No.
We could not get the hotel for them.
Right.
So I had to go and borrow 2 cars from the ambassador of Soviet Union
Right.
in Paris at that time.
That's strange. Isn't it?
Because Prince Sihanouk
Yeah.
asked me not to have any contact with Vietnamese.
Right. Sure.
Vietnamese embassy in Paris, no.
Yeah.
But Soviet
How was
Union
that first
is okay.
meeting? How was that meeting?
Very good. I didn't go because my father, who was very wise person, told me be careful, because many people try to arrange the meeting.
Didn't
Cambodian
happen.
delegation arrived in Paris, but Prince Sihanouk
Didn't
sent
come,
a
yeah.
telegram saying I cannot go. Why? Mysterious. We don't know. So my father said, don't talk to the press.
Yeah.
Nothing. You do that, behind the curtain, didn't talk to any person. We don't know who won, who didn't want this meeting. So I follow the advice of my father and we succeed.
Right.
When the meeting happened, I didn't want to go because I feel a little bit embarrassed, because many of my friends who were journalists came to our apartment and said, "What's going on? What's going on? You did something?" I said, "No, nothing." So I was embarrassed to lie to my best friend, I didn't go, and it was good, yeah.
What made you want to come back to Cambodia?
When I saw in the draft of the peace agreement, I saw the Khmer Rouge were also part of the peace agreement, signed also, etc. My heart was broken, When I organized these 2 meetings, I didn't want to involve Khmer Rouge. For me, Khmer Rouge, I didn't recognize them. They were criminals, they should be tried, like after the Second World War, you see.
The Nuremberg, yeah.
Yes, so when I saw that, I said, oh, what can we do? Nothing. So with some of friends, my parents, my late husband, and my daughter, friend of us, we said, we are going to set up an association, maybe a league of human rights, to monitor the work of the Khmer Rouge in Paris first, what they are doing. And when they come to Cambodia, we have to come with them because maybe they would like to bring back this bad regime, to Cambodia. So we have to be very, very alert.
Sure.
And we set up LICADHO.
LICADHO.
Yeah, in Paris first with the law, 1901.
Yeah.
Very easy. 3 persons can set up.
Right.
And we set up and we monitor. So when Ieng Sary went to Paris he went to visit his children in London, we used to alert all of our friends, follow what he, really we are care.
Monitor him.
Yeah, and when they came to Cambodia, Khieu Sampon, etc., we came to Cambodia also.
Right.
And at that time, UN
Yeah.
came to Cambodia, UNTAC that we call,
Yeah.
United Nations Transitional Authority in Cambodia. We said, okay, we continue to do our work, to monitor what they are going to do. Are they going to kill Cambodian people again? So this is the main reason for LICADHO at the beginning. And we decide, okay, we work with UN, and UN can maybe help us how to monitor the election, because it's all new for us,
Right.
And as a medical doctor, I went with myself, with a medical doctor from Médecins du Monde,
Right.
to give medical care to this prison. And from that time, 92, until now, we continue this program.
Right.
So by doing at the beginning just a group to monitor the work of Khmer Rouge, and then as a medical doctor, and then we provide medical care to prisoners, and then later on to also people outside, like women, victims of domestic violence, of rape, of trafficking, etc. You see, it's become now and more our job, daily job, and I could not withdraw myself. It's like a spiral, you know. Yeah. When I go, I cannot get out now. I cannot even. I want to say, okay, now it's time to be maybe far from this. No, it's not possible because it's go on and on and on and on.
You have mentioned your father in this interview many times, but you also mentioned many times that one of the things that your father seems to have had was wisdom. He was very wise. You said many times.
Very
Do you think
wise,
wisdom is a very essential quality of a leader, a good leader?
My opinion, yes. I think so. I think that is very important for a good leader. If you don't have that,
would you say that one of the major challenges, if you use that word, for Cambodian leadership has been that they have had, the normal resources and strength and army and power and all that, but probably they didn't have wisdom. Because if they had wisdom, the history of Cambodia would be very different.
that is missing.
That's missing.
Because you have power is good power, but your power come from where? From the people.
Right.
You have to get the trust of the people. You have to see that people trust you, people respect you. The respect, you don't need to force people. If people respect you because they are scared of you, it's not good.
Sure.
They respect you because they love you,
Sure.
because they trust you. They know that they can count on you. You see, it's very important.
I want to bring this interview to a gentle close by asking you two personal questions. One is, you're a leader yourself, whether you like it or not. I mean,
I don't consider myself as a leader.
No.
I consider myself as a mother of some,
No.
In LICADHO, I don't want my colleague to call me Madame or President. Here, our culture, our habit, we are like family.
Sure.
So if they are a little bit younger than me, they call me big sister
Sure.
or aunt.
Sure.
So we like that.
Sure.
I feel close to them.
Sure.
Yeah.
And in that sense, you're the leader of a very huge family, right? A very, very big family.
They trust me.
They trust you.
Yeah.
And that's a very critical,
Yes.
critical point.
This is my reward, you
Right.
know. They trust me, they respect me when they talk to me. I don't need to say, respect me or trust me. No. When they have problem, they come to me. And then I encourage them and I am honest with them. If I don't know, I said, it's not because I went to France to study that I know everything.
Right.
This is I don't know. So let's find out together.
Right.
Thank
So
you
my
very
final
much.
question is, and I think this is now public knowledge, right?
Yeah.
That the Prime Minister has invited you,
Yeah.
maybe once or twice, to sit on some council or
Yeah.
some. Can you share with us, because I hear that you declined?
Yes. First of all, on 1997, he would like to set up a Human Rights Committee. And I didn't want to join because for me, I didn't want to join a Human Rights Committee without having first to draft a law.
Right.
And I want to join only a committee that having a lot of participation of people. We would like to have a National Human Rights Commission, and we would like to have this commission independent, conform to an international standard called Paris Principle,
Right.
with participation of many people before.
Right.
This is serious because it's independent. It can provide if I want to join some institution, it's not for myself. I don't want to be, you know, in the first front. No. I would like to do something for Cambodian people. And to be useful for Cambodian people, you should have an institution independent that really serve the interests of the people.
Right.
And having the trust of many people. This is the definition of democracy.
Right.
That is one. So it's 1997. And recently, he invited me, but I put my condition. I said, I can accept if this institution can be really independent, if I can work in that institution, seen as independent with a legal framework, you know, with a good law, three conditions. This institution can control the human resource, can control the financial resource, and can have immunity.
Right.
And I see that none of the condition is met.
It's been a great pleasure talking to you, Nobel Prize nominee for twice, right? You
Yes.
are nominated,
Yeah.
so hopefully one day you will still get it.